So the last few weeks there's been one team that's been dominating the majority of conversations relating to non-league football, and that is Salford City. In particular, the signings they have been making. The likes of Danny Lloyd coming in for an undisclosed fee, £4,000 a week he's being paid. When he was at Peterborough, he was on £1,500 a week, and he was playing pretty much every game last season. That Salford attempted to drop back down to non-league, down 2 levels. He's on £4 a week. Same with Adam Rooney, apparently about £4 a week. Coming in from Aberdeen in the Scottish Premiership, one of the best strikers in the Scottish Premiership. They've also managed to tempt Nathan Pond away from Fleetwood, who was there for 15 years. They've also signed the likes of Ashley Hemmings, one of the best players in the National League North last season, as well as James Jones, one of the most up-and-coming players in the National League last season at Chester. They've got a whole range of signings, and people aren't happy about it. Now, the reason that people are not happy about it is because it's the amount of money that is being spent by Salford. Now, they're a team that is owned by the Class of '92, which is Nicky Butt, Gary Neville, Phil Neville, Paul Scholes and Ryan Giggs. They all own 10%, and then Peter Lim owns 50%. He is the owner of Valencia, one of the richest men in the world. Obviously owns a massive club, so money to them is no object. They've got a ridiculous amount of money to spend, and they're spending it now. The last few years they've been spending a lot of money down in the lower reaches of non-league football. They started off when they took over in the 8th tier, they've come up to the 7th and the 6th, now up to the 5th tier. So 3 promotions in the space of 4 seasons, and this season they're stepping up that spending to the next level. Take the wages that Danny Lloyd and Adam Rooney are reportedly on, £4 a week, that's around about £210,000 a year. Double that for those 2 players, that's £420,000 a year just for those 2 players, plus the fees that were paid to the other clubs to actually purchase their players. You're talking at fees that are literally, just for those 2 players, above the entire season budget for a lot of teams in the National League. Now, should there be a level playing field? Should there be some sort of financial fair play regulations to stop Salford from doing this? Maybe. It does make it a little bit unfair, and when they do get to the Football League, this spending will be very unsustainable, and they'll be absolutely killed by financial fair play. So they've got to rein it in when they get to the Football League, unless they could get their revenue up to really high levels, and they're trying to do that. They have upgraded their stadium in the last year or 2 to a much more impressive facility. Still, is it a Football League quality stadium in terms of size? Can it fit a huge amount of fans? No, only about 5,000 fans. So some of the reasons that people are unhappy with this spending is because it is a team that has come from nowhere and is just bankrolled to the point where they are going to get up to the Football League sooner or later. Champions in the National League North last season. This season, their squad is just embarrassingly good. Some of the players they've got is ridiculous, and I think they'll win the National League. I've done that in my predictions. I've got a manager who's very experienced in the Football League as well. Graham Alexander was unlucky to be sacked when Scunthorpe were in the playoffs in League One. So they've got everything really around them to set them up for a promotion challenge this season. People aren't happy about it because they're the new boys on the block. People are jealous of Salford, whether people want to admit it or not. Teams that have been sat in the National League for a few years or are dropping down a few levels, and these fans see a rival club in Salford just coming from nowhere, flying up through the leagues. People do get jealous, and that is really what it comes down to. In the past, there's been a lot of unsustainable spending at various clubs, the likes of Rushden and Diamonds, Darlington, extensive spending that is just too much for the football club to handle. When these rich owners that they had get bored or leave or whatever, then the club drops straight back down. I've brought up that analogy so many times. It's an example as to why excessive spending is really risky in non-league. But at Salford, I think with the Class of '92 there, it's a real project they've got going on. They've just set up the ladies team that they've got. They've been running an academy for the last year, which is now growing to a bigger size. Another reason that people don't like what Salford are doing is because it takes away the beauty that non-league is not saturated with money. Now, over the last few years, there's been so many clubs that are investing heavily. Some of them have dropped back down, like the ones that I mentioned, Rushden and Diamonds and Darlington, dropping back down after the investment. And even when you drop right down to the lower levels of non-league, down into 9th and 10th tier, money to some extent does still actually have an impact on where players play. If someone's going to be offered an extra 20 quid to play at another club down the road, then they might take that. Money is really affecting all levels of the game now, even down to grassroots level. So that really is the sad reality of football nowadays, that money does really impact it. And Salford, they've got the ability to spend that money, so they just are. You know, if they had that ability to spend it, but they didn't spend it and they weren't able to maximise the potential that they could get to in the footballing pyramid. Would they regret that going forward? Would that be seen as a missed opportunity for them to potentially miss out on that promotion place just because they didn't want to spend as much money as they have been doing? They're perfectly able to spend this amount. There's no regulations to stop them doing it. They can afford it. So as far as I'm concerned, there's no complaints to be had. One thing I will say is that the way that this is portrayed in the Class of '92 documentaries as Salford being these minnows that are on a fairy tale mission to try and get up to the Football League, I would not call it a fairy tale, because spending more than anyone else, that's not really a fairy tale in my book. For example, Macclesfield last season winning the National League on one of the lowest budgets in the league, that's a fairy tale for me. Bringing in players that no one else wanted, they had the last pick of all the players, getting players on really small salaries, somehow managing to win the league. That for me is a much bigger fairy tale than Salford just spending a lot more than anyone else to get promotion. As much as I haven't got a really big problem with them spending so much money just to get promotion, it's not a fairy tale, is it really? But anyway, let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Should Salford be allowed to spend this amount of money? Should there be financial fair play regulations brought into the National League to stop them from doing this? Let me know in the comment section down below. And where do you think they will finish in the league this season? But anyway, if you enjoyed this video, remember to hit that like button and click subscribe as well. And go and like and follow my new Facebook page. We're putting a lot of update as well as transfers. Also competitions such as Guess Where. We post a picture of a random non-league ground and you have to guess where it is, just to test your non-league knowledge. So it's basically just going to be a big hub for non-league fans. That's the aim for it anyway, and hopefully we can get to that point. We're going to need your guys' support on that. So yeah, go and follow that page, hit that like button as well. First line of the description is where you will find it. But anyway, I hope to see you in the next video, and thanks for watching.